And staying with the ever-timely topic of anti-Semitism, unfortunately, since the war between Israel and Iran, act surprised now, even more so. So we want to welcome now here in studio Jacob Dalal, member of the advisory board of Fighting Online Antisemitism. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Dalal. Double the amount of content promoting violence against Jews. We're not just talking simple, quote-unquote, anti-Semitic slur or hatred. Actually calling for active violence.
Yes, so we monitored the period of the war, 12 days, vis-a-vis the 3 months before, and one of the most striking things that we found was the doubling in the amount of glorification of violence, incitement to violence, and that's all kind of people joining the bandwagon, trying to take the Iranian side, and if they can't press a button on the missile, at least raining down hate.
So, you know, we've mentioned Iran, heavy on cyber. We've been discussing that in a different context. So not that it makes it any better, but are we talking about an orchestrated online campaign or grassroots?
No, it's actually grassroots for the most part, which is even more worrying.
Absolutely.
But we at Fighting Online Antisemitism, where we authored the report, we're also grassroots. So there are other people that are fighting that, and we're a home for over several thousand volunteers who report the content, who monitor the content. But it's a big challenge because there are millions and millions of haters out there, and a lot of them are calling for the destruction of Israel, the destruction of Jews, and there's very little distinction made between the two.
So talk to us about the dubious winners when we're talking about platforms and accounts and users. Who comes on top? Well,
I got to be a little bit careful, but we can't say, for example, TikTok is very good in taking down stuff once it's reported. Doesn't mean that your experience on TikTok is going to be a good one. In fact, it's not, but at least the company's responsive. X, formerly Twitter, is very problematic. They remove very little, and the content has gotten really, really bad. Some of the things are just out of almost 1930s, anti-Semitic classic textbooks. And sometimes they're taken down, and sometimes they're not. And the examples we have in our report, half of them are still online. So,
wow. So TikTok, I'm pinpointing TikTok because, what can we say? It's the youngsters' platform, right? So you're saying that TikTok, unlike others, is more responsive once you...
Once you report them, and if you report them through an organization, it's even better because a trusted flagger, they trust us, they trust other organizations. So if we report it, they'll take it down. But it's like trying to to use the Israeli idiom to try to empty the sea with a
ocean
teaspoon.
with a teaspoon. Absolutely. So many of our viewers are so very frustrated, Jacob, and they're asking themselves, what can be done? We're outnumbered. You're illustrating that, and yet you're saying there's an army of volunteers, and every single post that comes off is a success.
Yeah, so I would say a few things. First of all, if you see something, report it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, and it's very easy. Every platform has a report button, and if you report it through an organization like ours, the chance that they'll pay attention to you is about double. So if you see something, don't just don't say, oh no, and just move on. Report it. That's the first thing. The second thing is, there's less, but there's also pro-Jewish, pro-Israel material. Make sure to support that. In other words, comment on it, like it, especially comments. That increases the algorithm. So just by saying this is great, you're going to increase the visibility of the good stuff.
But now I'm trying to learn as we go in order not to encourage anti-Semitic slur. We need to not engage.
Exactly.
And that's the third step.
Right. So you don't engage, you report the bad stuff, you don't engage with it, you engage with the good stuff. And the third thing is to actually create your own stuff. So I think in general, part of the fight on anti-Semitism, on the one hand, it's defensive. On the one hand, it's saying no, taking down, calling out. Right. But the other part of the fight against anti-Semitism is being proactive, being proud of who you are. And if you do that online, hopefully you'll strengthen the good camp.
And every account counts, right?
Every like counts, every comment counts, and every piece of content counts.
Jacob Dalal, thank you so very much for joining us here in studio. Yeah, we can and we should be part of this online war. Thank you very much.